There's a 1-minute delay. Starting, this might take a moment. And we're good. All right. So hello, everybody. For all of you who are watching, thank you very much for joining us this evening. This is actually our very first TvH Live broadcast, where it's a new series that we're introducing to our clientele for this year, and we're hoping on hosting one session per month, where we're going to share some of our topics, maybe some opinions on world events. But tonight we're actually going to highlight TvH Legal, and with me tonight I have Sonia Kociper, who's partner of TvH Legal and TvH Group. Thanks for joining us. So what you'll notice there on the top right-hand corner of the video screen right now, there actually is a Q&A session. So if you do have some questions, if you just go ahead and type in the Q&A section, and at the end of our session, we'll try to address some of those questions. But in addition to that, if you can actually help us, considering this is our very first time doing this, if you have some ideas of topics that you'd like for us to discuss or share with you, that would also be very helpful. So, Sonia, thank you very much again for joining us. So tonight we're going to talk a bit about you and some of the services that you do offer through TvH Legal, through your legal practice. But I think people that don't know you so well, maybe they want to know a little bit about you and how you came about to becoming a lawyer, and a little bit about some of your hobbies and some things you like to do on your personal time.
Sure. On a personal level, my husband, Michael, and I have 2 lovely girls, 8 and 4, Taya and Stefan, and they keep us very, very busy. And my hobbies, I love to play volleyball and do yoga. Yoga really helps to decompress from the busy days.
Real yoga or we yoga?
I do real yoga. Okay. I go to the studio, I set up my mat.
All right.
And yes, it's all zen with it.
That's good. That's good.
You asked how I got interested in being a lawyer.
Well, it was funny enough. I mentioned that we've been partners for over 5 years now, and I actually never asked that question. So I think people would like to know.
True. I think it started when I was a small child. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings by a large age gap, and I was always mediating fights between my family members. We're an Italian family. Okay. The last name doesn't demonstrate that, but we are very much Italian and very spirited. And so I would always be mediating and trying to resolve discussions between my family members. So my father would pipe up always and say to me, "You should be a lawyer." And that kind of stuck with me. And I also just am naturally inquisitive and want to know things, but I've always been so resolution oriented. So I decided to go into law school, and I think that served me well. So.
Good. And basically maybe share a little bit about your background, your schooling and your experience that led you to eventually joining us here and partnering up with the partners at the TvH Group.
Right. I did my law schooling in Ottawa, so Ottawa University. And it was a great department. It was a small department, but we had excellent professors, actually some who were leading in their industries. Just wonderful experience. Great people, still very connected with a lot of the students that I went to school with and that are now prospering in their own fields. I graduated, or I was called to the bar in 2003, but I articled with a top 5 law firm in Ottawa, and that was an incredible experience. The senior lawyers there were really committed to teaching their articling students and welcoming their questions at any time, day or night. And I spent many nights at my desk and sometimes sleeping in the lobby just because there was so much to do. But one memorable experience there is being taken under one of the senior lawyers' wings in the municipal department and really becoming interested in the whole municipal and planning field. And it was because of her that I eventually found myself at a boutique law firm here in Toronto. I returned from Ottawa because Toronto is my home and where my family is. So I worked with them for a while before I started my own practice in 2005. And there I continued to stay committed to the things that I thought I wanted to do. So I went into law school knowing that I wanted to do business law, developed the experience in municipal and planning, and then continued to commit to that throughout my own development of my own practice. After that, I met John Sorby, our partner, who is the mortgage brokering side of the business. And I was his client, and I was buying my first home, and he was absolutely incredible in the service that he provided. So we kept referring business to him. And one day, I met you, as you were already partners with John, and the synergies were there. Our commitment to clients and our mentality was there. So we decided to partner up and start our multidisciplinary practice, which, how long ago now, 6 years ago?
6 years ago, yeah. And maybe explain what a multidisciplinary practice is, because I know when we tried to launch that.
The Law Society didn't even know what it was about.
They didn't know what it was. I think they said to you at the time that there was only 11 in the country, and they'd asked you to reach out to the 11 and ask for some guidance from them, and of course that never really happened.
Right.
So we put a proposal together, and you went to the Law Society, and they approved it. But what is it?
Right. It was interesting because the Law Society does have to approve our multidisciplinary practice and our procedures. But they didn't really know what to tell me about forming it because they are unique. And in fact, I was informed at that time that there was nothing like us out there. So multidisciplinary practice is where several professionals from other areas other than law come together and provide services to their clients. Now, it's not like you're a referral service, you are partners, and you can work on the same clients in unison and whatnot. It's not a disparity of information, it's an information that comes together. So we create an entire strategy for clients where we can provide legal services in the various areas that I practice. We can provide financial planning and insurance, brokerage advice, accounting, and mortgage brokering as well. So we can provide clients with a full strategy and a full plan that they can carry out, and we do it all under one roof.
Yeah. Some people refer to it as one-stop shop. I hear that all the time from people.
That's what our clients say.
Yeah, that's what they say, but they do find the efficiencies is coming in, meeting with all 4 partners, here's my goal, work together, put a plan in place, and that's what we do, as opposed to then having to go to different professionals who don't really communicate with each other. It's less efficient that way.
Right. What I've heard from my clients that work with 3 or 4 of our departments is how easy it is. Yeah. Everything is so easy right now. Yeah. I don't have to translate what my lawyer said to my accountant. I can just say, here's my situation, and then we discuss it in the background and present the plans to the clients, which to them is a dream.
Right. Yeah. And I do apologize, we are waving our hands around, we're both Italian, so we can't help it. But maybe for our next session, we might want to duct tape our hands. And, so there's less.
Impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that kind of leads into some of the areas of law that you practice, real estate being one of them. So maybe share a bit about what it is you do in helping our clients in a real estate transaction. And maybe that'll lead into why should they be working with you to assist with that transaction.
Sure. Well, in real estate, we do all forms of real estate transactions. So from residential to new builds to corporate purchases to multiplexes. So it's an array of real estate transactions, purchases, sales, refis, private mortgages. So the whole gamut of real estate transactions. And my right hand is Shelley Telfer, who's a real estate clerk, who's a veteran in the field, and she is as committed to servicing our clients and providing the best service possible to our clients. And that is an enormous asset. We're available all the time to answer questions, to address first-time home buyers who have a lot of anxiety about buying their new home. We can assist them, and we're happy to.
And I know that you don't only work with clients that come in through our mortgage department, you also deal with clients who have their own mortgage advisor outside of our organization, a banking institution. In your experience, do you typically find the transaction to be a lot smoother when you're working with a client who's actually received a mortgage through John, through TvH Mortgages, as opposed to dealing with an external institution where there is a bit of a disconnect in communication?
Absolutely. When we're working with other lenders, some are smooth, some are not. And when they're not, you can really feel the disconnect between the fact that our clients are using a different lender and you can't get in touch with a mortgage broker. There's a lot of disconnect there. Whereas if they're in-house here, I'm working with John, if there's anything that I need to be aware of, I will be informed early on. If there's any hiccups just before closing, I will be informed, and we know how to prepare ourselves to ensure that the deal closes on time and without any anxiety for the client. We try to lift that away from the client. So John and I work closely together so that we can resolve any issues, make it a smooth closing for the client, and seal the deal.
Yeah, because it can be very stressful to purchase a property or sell a property. And if you're someone that's working full time and you have to kind of quarterback between the realtor and the lawyer and the institution, that becomes very stressful at times.
It becomes onerous.
Yeah.
It will take a lot of your time. And what we try to do, given the one-stop shop scenario, we try to lift all that away from the client. We have information that we don't need to ask the client about. We can process things. We can carry on with the phone. Only when we really need the client to be involved will we include them as far as needing additional information and whatnot. We always advise the client of what's going on, but we don't need to burden them with anything that we can otherwise take care of.
Right. And because we have the multidisciplinary status, that allows us to share the information amongst each other to close that transaction.
Exactly.
Correct? Okay. And another example, I guess, would be if a client is also using our accounting department and we need T4s to prove income, whatever else. Again, we're not going to an external source for that. We're allowed to go to David and his team, ask for the information, and it just again becomes smoother in closing that transaction.
Right, and that would be helpful in John preparing the mortgage, and he could get that information without the client having to scramble through their files and whatnot, and that information could just be passed on directly.
Good. So I see also business. So you help businesses with contracts. What other things do you help them with?
We do a variety of things under the heading of business law. We do incorporations and all mini book upkeep and whatnot for the corporations. We do all the agreements that are involved in setting up a business structure, whatever that would be it a sole proprietorship, partnership, joint venture, incorporation, like I just mentioned. So we provide the full gamut, whatever that means. It can be a simple incorporation, so you need just a simple setup, but we work closely with David as well to ensure that there's also a tax planning strategy involved. Because when you're issuing shares and how you want to issue those shares, and we think to the future as well, so we sit with the clients and we deal with, okay, where do you see this going? How do you see this business progressing? We plan for that in the share structures, and David helps set that up so that the tax planning as well can be addressed. So when it comes time to make that next step, then the plan has already been put in place. It just needs to be implemented at that time. So we also do one-off joint ventures, or we do extended joint ventures depending on the type of business our client is setting up. A lot of clients are buying real estate and doing development projects under the joint venture agreements, a situation, or they're setting up in corporations and hiring employees and whatnot, and we set up the employment contracts. We advise, or David's department advises on all the source deductions, taxes, and all that other information that's required when you set up different corporations.
Okay. I've also known, or I referred clients to you where they're purchasing into a franchise, and you've actually reviewed franchise agreements as well. So that's something that you do, and just to make sure that that's all in order. And what are you looking out for, maybe in those situations when reviewing a contract?
Well, depends on the contract that I'm reviewing, but I'm always looking to protect the client. And at the end of the day, ensuring that safeguards are put in place in the event of a dissolution in the future. Shareholders agreements that I draft up always have that in mind. Partnership agreements always have that in mind, because it's blissful now and it's all wonderful when you're coming together in a business relationship. But we're the doomsayers in a way, and we have to account for what could happen, and we make those provisions. And clients, some clients come to me sometimes and they say, "Well, can't I just draft that contract?" And I said, "Oh, you definitely can.
Yeah.
But how many of these have you drafted?" And they answer that maybe their first one, and I say, "Well, you're probably not going to be seeing the full picture or the picture in the future, and you're going to miss a lot of things that could have been addressed if I drafted for you." And I make sure that all of these possibilities are covered off and the safeguards are there for the clients.
Yeah, because I know when somebody's getting into a new venture, like you said, it's exciting, it's new, but they don't really plan or anticipate what may or may not happen within that business. But based on your experience, you can go back and basically discuss, these are the possibilities, because you've dealt with those possibilities on behalf of clients who have dealt with businesses that are a little more mature and things happen, right? So you're able to anticipate those things.
Right. And I think that's why it will come to lawyers.
Sure. Awesome. So municipal and planning matters. I think when we first met, that was a little more of your focus at the time, I believe, right?
Yeah. Because of my experience in my articles and the boutique firm that I worked for, I offered services under municipal and urban planning, and I continue to do that. I've attended at the Ontario Municipal Board. I've done appeals on these matters. I've also done minor variance applications. So anything pertaining to development project, be it small or large, we can help with municipal applications, approvals, drawings, whatnot. I work closely with architects, engineers, and a planner that I work really closely with who assists in these matters, be it preparing the groundwork for the applications or attending as an expert witness, for instance, like I said, at the Ontario Municipal Board. So I have experience in this field, and I think it's very beneficial that I do real estate and municipal work, because I have a lot of clients who are purchasing vacant land, planning on developing it, and working with me to get that all rolling.
I notice here, I think something about legalizing multi-dwelling. So I mean, we do help our clients with getting into real estate rentals as part of their overall investment strategy, and that's something that we can assist with as well.
Right.
Correct? Okay, that's good. I know a little bit about this on the wills and estate side, so that's definitely something that you help our clients with as well. why should they work with a lawyer and not go to Staples and get a will kit for $30?
I think it can be summed up as peace of mind. If you work with a lawyer, if you work with us in drafting up your wills and all your power of attorney documents, you know that we have had a thoughtful discussion about what to include and what not to include. Doing it on your own, you wouldn't really know what you were doing wrong, what you were missing. And at the end of the day, when you're not here, you can't really pipe up and say, that's not what I meant. So we make sure that you do it right. You've included the parties that you want to. You've included the assets that you should and shouldn't, and we have that discussion because some assets don't need to be included. If they have a beneficiary assigned in other capacities and whatnot, but we have that discussion. We also discuss things like, mixed families where there's adopted children, there's children from a previous marriage and whatnot, and we integrate all of that in a very thoughtful, caring manner and carry out the wishes of the client here and now. And also account for, and it's very important, when you have children, to account for them should something happen to parents. And it's my clients always have a very difficult time when they deal with who should be the guardians of their children. But that is what we talk through. We deal with the issues of whether they're going to continue to reside in Canada or overseas, and we have that thoughtful discussion. Something that a kid, I don't think, can provide.
No, I guess a template can't really prompt it for people to think a certain way. An example is actually my situation where, I figured I pass away, my wife is taking care of our daughter at the time, and vice versa. And then it was brought up, well, what if something happens to the two of us? Who takes care of your daughter? And if that's not in writing, the government decides, right? So that was something that I never really thought about, and I'm in business, so those are things that sitting down with yourself, you would, ask those questions and get people to start thinking those thoughts. I think another simple one too is a lot of people naturally would name their own parents as guardians of children, and that might not necessarily be the ideal individual because they're getting older and they might need care. But again, we naturally think of our moms and dads, right? And these are discussions that we have, or you have with people, or they might want to consider somebody else as well. But you don't get that in the will kit, right? So that's fantastic. Now, in terms of, I know I've had people ask about assigning executors. Some people don't have family, some people don't have family that they trust. Can you be assigned as an executor?
Yes, I can be, okay. And I have been, like you said, with clients who don't have family members or family members here, and there's a residency status for executors that impacts the will or the probating of the will at the end of the day. So I'm able to step in and assist in that capacity, and also in the estate side of things. So once the will actually has to be probated, if I'm not the executor, we house the wills here. The executor can come and seek advice from us. We help in making the applications for probate. We help in distributing the assets accordingly. And if we need to, we work closely with David as well, who will prepare the record keeping and the financial documentation to support anything that.
And one of the things that I know some of my clients or our clients that really appreciate is when they ask the question, if I die, who do we call? Who do my kids call? And I just say to them, listen, we're managing the investments and the insurance. Dave's handling the taxes. Sonia has the will. I make one phone call. And we have a program where we collect a lot of the data, including house insurance and car insurance and bank accounts. So we can easily go to the executor if you're not the executor and direct people where they should go, just to make that process a lot smoother, because that's a very stressful process as well. Powers of attorneys, can you be named as a power of attorney?
Over property, yes, okay. But I tend not to for personal care,
okay.
For obvious reasons.
Okay, good,
yeah.
Good. Just want to ask, throw that out there. So I see here as well, landlord and tenant matter disputes.
Mhm.
So give us some examples there, what you do and how you help some clients.
So this is something that I've always offered to clients, and I now only represent landlords. Because of my involvement in real estate, we have a lot of investor clients who are buying duplexes, triplexes, multi-unit properties, and they're functioning capacity as landlords. What we try to do is advise new landlords the processes that they should take when selecting tenants. We actually offer the service of doing all of the background checks and credit checks and investigate into whether or not these are good and qualified tenants. Because as I'm sure you're aware, because I talk about this all the time, the legislation is not in favor of landlords. And it's very difficult once you have a bad tenant or even a tenant who is intentionally trying to work the system.
We're seeing a lot of those stories out there.
We do, unfortunately, and I've actually dealt with it on behalf of the client, and I must say we did not do the credit checks on that client's tenant. But we do have situations where you have bad tenants and you can't get them out. So what we try to do is inform landlords what to do before it even gets to that. But should it get to that, sometimes, even the most thorough of checks, sometimes it does happen. Then we can also help clients with the dispute side of things. So we can assist in providing notices to tenants, attending at the landlord and tenant board to argue eviction notices. And right now, what I've done over the last year and a bit, is I brought on a paralegal. Her name is Chelsea Gross. She has been in the legal field for several years, but graduated with her paralegal diploma in 2015, and now is part of my team on the paralegal side. I brought this on in order to make these files or make these situations for landlords more cost effective. Landlord trying to evict someone, they have to go to the expense. They need this person out. So there's no benefit to them. They have to, spend money to get that result. And what I've done is brought on Chelsea, who can now carry these files with me overseeing everything, but at a more cost-effective manner.
And so the paralegal services, is that just specific to landlord-tenant, or does that open up to other potential situations that a client could use this for?
All of the paralegal services that any paralegal could provide are now offered here as well.
For examples of that.
So small claims court matters,
okay.
Anything under $25,000, we can bring on into our firm. Any board or tribunal matters, alcohol and gaming commission, collections matters as well.
Okay.
So a wide array of areas that paralegals are licensed to take care of.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's really the end of our session in terms of questions. Do we have any questions at all at this point? No? Okay. So we don't have any questions, but I do thank everyone for joining us this evening. This session will also be recorded, or has been recorded, so we will post a recording of the session on our YouTube channel as well, and we'll distribute that out to all the clients. Sonia, what's the best way for a client to reach you and your team if they do have some questions or would like to engage in some of their situations that they might need some of your assistance?
Email or phone us directly. You can email Sonia at tvhgroup.ca or call us directly at 647-427-8486. And we'd be happy to take your call and help you.
Great. Thanks, Sonia. Have a good night, everybody.
Night.